Hello, everybody, and welcome to Quantum Leap Revisited, a show that we do once a week where we talk about the original Quantum Leap series that ran from 1989 to 1993, starring Scott Bakula and Dean Stockwell. For those who don't know me, I'm Price of Reason, and as always, I have this distinguished panel of gentlemen. Uh, there may be some other people joining us, but sometimes people are on the way back from work and run into traffic and things like that. And at least in one case, there was some kind of personal thing going on. In any case, with me is Nick. Nick is the local minister in his own town, and he's also the local locksmith, and he's also a consultant to the sheriff and the fire department, and he owns his own ranch where he raises goats, and he's an expert in science fiction. And he has his own channel, the Backyard Tardis, where he uploads his own thoughts about pop culture, and he's part of the Red 5 Network, which is a network of podcasters that Ro, who you know from this show, he co-founded. How's it going, Nick?
Going good, going good.
Man, you do so many things. It's always half the show is just me introducing you.
It keeps me busy. It keeps me busy.
In any case, I see some great people here in the chat. And Tex Rogers had some technical issues, but now he's on his phone. And whenever I see Tex here, I know that everything's okay. So this week, we're going over the episode Goodbye, Norma Jean, which is actually the 18th episode of the 5th season. And really, there aren't many episodes left. We're really getting close to the end of this whole series. I'm trying to think for a second. There's the finale. I know at least 2 episodes. Actually, there's 4 that I can think of. How many are still left, Nick? Do you know?
Well, there's 20 episodes, so
I
not
think
many.
4 are left. I think 4 are left.
Yeah.
I don't want to do spoilers for people, but I know exactly what the 4 are. And yeah, I mean, I dare say that the one that we're going to go over today, which I feel has a lot of flaws, is actually one of the more pleasant ones, maybe, of the next 5, from what I remember. I mean, I say more pleasant because I really feel that those final 5, and maybe just this final season, it did have more misses than hits, especially now that we're kind of going over it. There were certainly issues with this season.
Yeah, there definitely have been. There's been a lot of missteps, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Sometimes something that might even be called a mediocre episode in this season has me celebrating because anytime we have one that just kind of sticks to the formula, it's good because everything else has been so off the wall. Really kind of trying to change and mix up the show. And it's not Space 99 season 2, but it's still, quite divergence from what the show had been up to this point.
Lisa Gatryan, who is a champion cycler, said lots of shark jumping in season 5. And I tend to agree. There certainly is a lot of shark jumping in season 5. And I feel like there were lessons that I dare say that with this episode, it even shows that there was a lesson that wasn't learned from an earlier episode this season. Because when we had the whole JFK thing, ironically, there's JFK and Marilyn Monroe somehow. But when we had the whole JFK Lee Harvey Oswald episode, I feel like him being in history and seemingly making changes, but we can't really. It's strange because we know the real history. So it's this weird situation that we're told the history was one way, but he changed history. But really, if we would have never watched the episode, we just know the history as it is. They're trying to tell you retroactively that you learned about this history because of him or something. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, and I don't have that much of a problem with it, but it is something that this show has shied away from in a way that I felt it was for its benefit, and Conversely, like another time travel show, like in Doctor Who, it is routine that they play with historical moments, historical leaders and different individuals, and somehow aliens are involved, and it kind of goes back. But with that show, because there's kind of a precedent of that from the beginning, um, it doesn't feel off. You're not going, "Well, that's not how it is."
Yeah, that show is bonkers from day one. They're just going through different. You have to not
Right.
think about all that stuff because it's just going all over the place, and it's part of the charm of the show. But here, we've grown accustomed to a certain lore and to certain things that happen on this show. And him suddenly within this season meeting JFK, and being not meaning being in Harvey Oswald, and then the whole JFK situation. Then we also had him as Dr. Ruth Westheimer, which was completely random and strange. Him being Marilyn Monroe's chauffeur, like we see in this episode. What else did we have? Am I forgetting anything?
Well, and we talked about some of the things that were weird about the Dr. Ruth episode, but in that one, he was playing the famous person, but he was there to save somebody ordinary. He wasn't changing a major historical event.
Thankfully, they didn't, focus on her career too much. But it was an awkward, strange episode as it is.
Right, right.
And
But with the JFK thing, I think, as you brought out, there was a desire for him to make a statement. With this one, it doesn't bother me in the same way as that one did, especially since there isn't none of the mind melding, swapping stuff. But it is interesting, creating like this is how history really was, but now the show has changed it to what you currently know. Was interesting. I was actually trying. I got partway into the episode and realized I know nothing about Marilyn Monroe's death, and so I went to the internet and started reading a little bit about it just to be informed for the episode. And then I'm like, how in the world did they get the year wrong? And then of course the show explains it, but I'm like, did they label the episode wrong? It's
yeah, no,
1960.
that's it's very, very strange. And also, I'm going to choose my words carefully. There's been a lot of speculation as to how Marilyn Monroe's life ended.
Right, but see, they don't have to address that here because this is a separate event. So they don't have
Right.
to put their finger on the scale and say it happened this way because we're not going to experience that.
Right.
And it did, once again, going back to the world of Doctor Who, although I would say this is, a superior episode because this is a good episode of Doctor Who. But Vincent and the Doctor.
With Vincent Van Gogh, that he brings him
Yeah,
at the end to see his that is one of the highlights of the new Doctor Who era, that he
right.
brings
It
Vincent Van Gogh to the
brings
museum.
that scene brings a tear to me every time.
Yes,
But
that is one of the best scenes in all of new Doctor Who, is when he brings Van Gogh to modern times to see his work at the museum. I agree with you 100%. That's not what this show does. This show doesn't
but
do that.
right after they send him back, he says, nope, he still dies. He still commits suicide. And, because the companion, and that is thinking, oh, we solved it. We made him happy, and now he's going to be happy and he's going to be joyous. And no, he was suffering condition. And
You mean that he didn't self-delete himself? Apparently there's certain things that are
oh,
no.
oh, sorry.
It's
I
okay.
always forget that.
It's too late now.
But
Now we're gonna get like we're probably in 2 seconds. This whole stream is gonna get shut down. You meant that he deleted himself.
yeah, and the as Deadpool puts it, unalived. No, that's probably not. But
Matthew
yeah,
McGee,
delete.
Vincent the Doctor, probably one of my favorite, and Lisa Trine likes that over. Yeah,
But
it's
it is the same thing, and I appreciate kind of that they did that, even though this episode ended, and it's still that is the result. But when it comes to mental illness, there is nothing that Sam could have done in a week that would have solved
But I'll tell you,
depression and mental illness.
I'll tell you the problem. Much like with JFK, there are a lot of theories as to what may have happened to Marilyn Monroe. I'm going to
Hmm.
try to maybe steer away and not, dive into all these conspiracy theories. I just will say that, ironically, uh, both JFK and Marilyn Monroe obviously had an affair, and both of their deletions, there's a lot of theories regarding them, if you know what I mean.
Hmm.
Oh, wait, I think I see. Is this Script Doctor?
Hey,
Hey, how's it going?
it's going all right. Hold on one second. I gotta get back into the writers' room, and I gotta get my shirt on. There we go. Sorry, it's been a
Nice.
long time since I used StreamYards, and I was lost with the new interface. So
Oh,
I
good
thought
to
you were
have
like in the movie Stand By Me or something, or whatever it is, whatever poster that was. In any case, everybody's happy you're here. Yeah, I said it. I think people didn't believe me. I'm like, Script, I think, is going to be here.
I've been doing night shoots for I think over a month now. So this is my first evening. My second evening I had off. I had a Wednesday off last week. That was nice. So.
Cool, man. We're all happy to see you. I know you've been working late, and it's cool, man. It's nice to see you here. We don't have many episodes left. We're doing it today. There's the Marilyn Monroe one.
I know. Goodbye, Norma Jean. Yeah. What's funny is that I think it was 2.5 weeks ago. I was working with someone who um, he was a PA on Quantum Leap for season 5, and I asked him some questions about that, and he only knew little bits here, but he had some fun rumors to talk about. One of which is that I mean, diehard Quantum Leap fans know that the show was saved for an additional season due to a letter writing campaign, and
Right.
and he speculated, because he had watched the show before he became a PA on it, that some of the reason why we had some real historical figures in this season and not previous ones was an effort to try and appeal to a broader audience demographic, so that they could get another season out of the show. And yeah, that's why this season had Lee Harvey Oswald, why it has, of course, Marilyn Monroe, why it had Dr. Ruth. It's going to have a couple more, I think, before the
Yeah,
season's out.
at least one more. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think I think it came a little bit of partial desperation from the writing team, based on that rumor there. I'm thinking, yeah.
But that's one of the biggest issues that um, they tried so hard with this season, and sometimes when you're scrambling to try so many different ideas and take the show away from what it does best, just to try to appease some people, I think that it's an unhealthy work environment. Throw
Mhm.
that in, and I know nobody talks about this. The fact that Deborah Pratt and Donald Belisario were going through a divorce, yet still making this show somehow. Very strange atmosphere. I can't imagine that all of these pieces of the puzzle somehow come together in a way that's excellent. And I think that that's why this season really falls short in so many ways. I still always tell you that there's moments that I admire some of the ambition amidst the chaos. I admire some of the ambitious ideas, but in more often than not, the execution just isn't good enough.
Yeah, yeah, but
And
eh,
I didn't mind seeing Marilyn Monroe. There was half an interesting idea here, but the problem is once you know what the history is of Marilyn Monroe, and he's supposedly changing it, and then telling you that he changed it, and it's sort of like a "trust me, bro" type of situation. They tried the "trust me, bro" with Lee Harvey Oswald, if you remember, and
mhm.
Jackie O. Do you get what I'm saying? There was
Yeah,
the I don't know if "trust me, bro" is the right way to define it, but I call it the quantum leap "trust me, bro" syndrome, where it's like, hey, wasn't she wasn't supposed to die, and then you say she wasn't, and he's like, yeah, trust me, bro. And then that's basically the same thing that happened with Marilyn Monroe. They copy pasted that preview. Do you remember that they did this with the JFK one?
yeah, yeah. They did this with because Jackie Onassis in the Quantum Leap original history had passed away as well, or died, was taken out as well, and Sam's efforts at the end saved her life.
And Tex Roger says the divorce had been over for well over a year, but there may have been bad feelings that affected their work together. Of course, how can you get a divorce in the middle of making this show? I feel like probably if you time the divorce along with the output of episodes, there's probably like you could see a decline. I think that they worked well together when they weren't divorcing each other. Seems that way. Deborah Pratt, all of her later episodes that she wrote this season also seem kind of hasty and not as in my opinion, I like Deborah Pratt, but I think that her work on earlier seasons was stronger than what we saw here in this season.
Mm-hmm.
Just throwing that out there. The divorce.
I mean,
is listed.
we definitely saw that with last week's episode. I believe it was that the final Evil Leaper. It did not feel like one of her scripts.
No, it didn't. It didn't. It almost feel like she half-heartedly did whatever she was doing in this season, and maybe that's just a general feeling that I have. Although this episode, this one that we're going to talk about now, it, in terms of comparing it to some of the other ones of this season, it wasn't a complete disaster. At least it made some kind of narrative sense. I could understand why this is happening and why that's happening. It's just the resolution of it and how it all came together at the end, I think wasn't very satisfying for me. Before I start sharing, like what are your overall, do you have a few thoughts about this one script?
I mean, it's a little bit of a kind of like a child and wish fulfillment type of story. I felt kind of odd that way. However, I will say the actress Susan Griffiths, she's a famous Marilyn Monroe impersonator. Like she's played Marilyn Monroe in at least 20 or 30 things
Really?
since then. Yeah, that's that's it. I mean, I liked watching Marilyn Monroe in some of the comedies, but I was never so enamored with her like other men at that time.
I don't think you were alive when she was, around.
No, definitely not alive. But I mean, I know people who are like twice my age who are like look at Marilyn Monroe and think like she was a goddess, and I'm like, no, she was beautiful and she, fun actress and stuff. But I mean, you could see someone like Victoria Lake back in the day, and I mean, I found that she was far more gorgeous and alluring and captivating than Marilyn Monroe.
She was the first that kind of actress for the masses. She was blonde. She was appealing. She had that appeal, that mass appeal. You see more of that. I mean, these days you don't see a lot of it. The only one I can think of in recent memory is like a Sydney Sweeney or something. But I'm saying at the time, I don't think you had a lot of women like that. It wasn't just her look, but it was the whole attitude and the appeal and all that stuff. And I guess I assume that whoever was living during that time, it was a super big deal. We're just, we're from a different era, so maybe it doesn't speak to us in the same way.
She had a free spirit attitude that was very against the trend for the 40s and 50s.
Yes.
And that I think where's the allure came into, because she physically looked unattainable, but she had an attitude that made you think you had a shot.
I guess. And she would also marry all these weirdos all the time. So
yeah, well, that's true of all actors in Hollywood.
You know what I'm saying?
They do a good job in this, because I'm also not someone who in a lot of ways, Marilyn Monroe, I don't get it, but she does have the sense of presence or taking charge of the room that I thought was portrayed really well in this episode, as we'll get to the later part of it. But sometimes that's a big thing. Like there's people who come in and they want to act in this, but they're trying too hard. Their nervousness shows, and then you get someone who has been a star, male or female. But there's certain individuals like our leading man here, Scott Bakula, David Hasselhoff, I'm trying to think of, there was another one I had in my mind. It just went, but they come onto a set and they just kind of run the set. They know, and they set the tone. And I think she was someone who set the tone.
Yeah, I guess. Anyhow, yeah, I guess we can dive into this episode.
So here's Sam as good old Dennis, the driver, piecing together what his job and leap is based on this one big fan who I think that's also kind of fascinating that they had a fair balance between women that admired Marilyn and men that admired Marilyn in this episode.
Well, maybe you were saying that it was like a free spirit situation, so she she let the ladies feel like they're free too, so she appealed to everybody, I guess. Plus, women as sorry, how do I say this? I don't want to say something bad. As I can't. I'll just go ahead and say it. As catty as women can be, I think they appreciate when a woman looks good. And at the end, there is an appreciation there. Maybe if they had to hang out with her in the day to day, they'd be jealous of her and annoyed at her. But when she's kind of like this glamorous star, I think that she resonated with women as well.
I mean, especially with her fashion sense, that's the huge thing that always.
Yeah, that women like that stuff.
Hairstyles, fashion choice, that's what they get into. Oh, they have really great taste. That looks good on her. That could probably look great on me.
And while you would say that this isn't so much with actresses today, I would say the same has still been true of pop icons. That women, it's not just men oogling them, whether it be Britney Spears in the 90s or Taylor Swift now. There's a lot of young women that they dream of becoming that, and so they're idolizing this person.
Oh yeah, I mean that's how the Kardashians became a thing. I mean, I went to a couple of really small Italian communities, and all the women there were dressed up like Kim Kardashian. And it's like, I don't think Kim Kardashian is Italian, but okay, yeah.
Who wrote this episode?
Oh gosh. I think it was Richard Sioki, yeah.
Written by Richard Sioki. We've seen that name.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a name that popped up more this season. Christopher Hibbler, I don't really even remember.
Yeah, he wrote he did more. I think he did more writing this season because he's got, just kind of quickly look up. Yeah, he's got 22 episodes under his belt here. Let me see. Yeah, he got he's the producer on 22 episodes, and he wrote 5 episodes for season 5.
Right, he's a season 5 guy, so he's not going to get a lot of props from me. But this is a situation. I think Al shows up, and then Sam's like, "What am I doing here, Al?" And he's like, "Who cares?"
Yeah, who cares? You got Marilyn Monroe, excuse me, before you.
Now, this is another thing. So basically, they arrive here, and there's this Barbara girl or whatever her name is, and I think it's Barbara. And basically, she's like, "Oh, I want to be your assistant. George sent me or something. I don't know what you're." She makes it seem like somebody sent her here, but Marilyn Monroe seems confused, as though maybe she was supposed to look for somebody on her own. And Sam is already so quick to just say, "Yeah, we need this girl here." I mean, he could look at a reference or something. You know what I'm saying? He's supposed to make sure things are okay around Marilyn Monroe. This lady just appeared off the street. What's she even doing here?
Well, I think Sam's intention with this is he thinks that he needs more help. He needs someone to be with her at all times, and bringing this woman in will be a benefit and a help to him.
I understood that, and I accept what you're saying. I just feel like Sam is he's supposed to have 7 degrees in like rocket science or something and quantum physics. He may have just thought about it for a second. She is like a really big celebrity. You kind of have to think who you're letting into her house. I understand that his intentions were good, but I still feel like he was too quick on the draw. If she would have like brought a resume and looked like she had references or something, even if she made them all up, I would at least say, oh, maybe he doesn't have a reason to believe she's making all this up. She just kind of was house squatting in Marilyn Monroe's house. She just appeared here out of nowhere. It's not a good sign. Even if I was Sam and I quantum leaped here, I tell that lady to leave. Maybe I should get a degree in quantum physics.
I mean, that's a completely different skill set. He doesn't have, he has a degree in psychology, quantum physics.
Come on, he has 7 degrees. You want to tell me with one of them you can't understand this lady's a crook?
Oh, yeah. I think he only has 6 degrees, right?
I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Although, if he has one in psychology, that might actually help Bryce's point. But he has Swiss cheese brain. He's kind of here. He's
confused.
He's feeling overwhelmed a little bit himself, because he's in a little awestruck with what this leap is too.
We'll cut him some slack. So, Script, you're saying that this lady was in a lot of stuff as Marilyn Monroe?
Susan Griffiths, yeah, she's a professional Marilyn Monroe impersonator. I think she's retired now because
Marilyn Monroe never reached her age.
Right, but she was in Curb Your Enthusiasm as Marilyn Monroe. She was Marilyn Monroe in the movie Time Cop, or no, the TV series Time Cop. Sorry.
I saw the movie Time Cop. It had Jean-Claude Van Damme in it.
And Mia Sara, yeah. She also played Marilyn Monroe in Pulp Fiction.
Oh, she did?
Yep. And then she played Marilyn Monroe in a TV movie called Marilyn and Me. And she also played Marilyn Monroe in an episode of Growing Pains.
That's pretty amazing that you just say, like, this is my niche. Like, I play Marilyn Monroe, and they all just hire her to do that. I think I remember the one with Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's the one that I'm thinking that there's, like, wind with the dress or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes it interesting, we were talking about, time periods and different stuff like that, but she has the presence and the ability to pull off Marilyn Monroe, but she didn't have the ability to, strike on and become popular like her on her own, in her own personality. So
right. No, all she can do is be an impersonator. But you know what? If you're an impersonator and you keep getting employed, and that's what people know you for, it's fine. I once had, this is a true story, and I'll just very quickly say it. I once had, years ago, a band approach me, and they wanted me to help them get, like, bookings and stuff. And they were basically the Rat Pack. They looked and acted exactly like Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. and Dean Martin. And there was somebody else. Who else is in there? There's one person. There's like a fourth person, but I can't remember who that person is now.
People mistakenly think Jerry Lewis was part of it, but he wasn't.
I feel even if he wasn't, I feel like within this silly thing that, I don't want to say silly, but you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. I feel like they had it. Now, those guys, actually, you could see their resume. They performed in a lot of places. A lot of times when you needed the Rat Pack, you'd bring them. They're not the only ones. Just so you know that there's probably like 10 top tier groups like that competing with each other. But I did see that they were actually legitimately performing in front of audiences, and sometimes you need that. I mean, okay, so none of them probably struck it big as their own artist or become big stars in their own right, but if you can pay your bills and do it by sort of impersonating somebody else, it's fine. You have a lot of those Trump impersonators, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a few of them.
Trump impersonators. You got Kennedy impersonators. There's a famous Elvis impersonator who has his own personal set for the Star Trek original series show in New York, New York State. Ticonderoga, I think.
Nice. I mean, right here on Quantum Leap, you're our President Kennedy impersonator Script.
I guess I am.
Because once we needed it, and I couldn't do a voice that even vaguely resembled him, and then you stepped in and you knocked it out of the park. Everybody was very impressed with your Kennedy.
Oh, thank you.
So the barber here is like, She's like, "Hey, isn't she great? What's your favorite movie? What's your favorite day?" Just with these questions, I would have told her, "Hey, you better leave now. I'll see you later. Bye." Like I would have thrown her out if I was Sam, and
Really?
instead, like,
Just by seeing her wearing bangs, I would have thrown her out.
yes,
Never
bangs is a
trust a
sign.
woman with bangs. Just
Never trust a woman with bangs. You're absolutely right. She should have been gone the second she was asking these questions. And he's like, "I like some like it hot." It's like, shut, dude, just throw her out of the house. Why did you let this weird woman into Marilyn Monroe's house? So this part kind of annoyed me. I don't like when they make Sam like kind of a dum dum, but it's okay. And he's like, "You really should find a way to, I don't express yourself differently." What did he say? Something about like he was trying to tell her to stop being like a fangirl, but I don't
yeah,
remember the
trying to
exact
find her
word.
own identity, so to speak. Like her
Yeah.
identity's been predicated on her admiration for an idol.
Right.
Yeah, and she said you shouldn't, base your whole life off of a movie, and so that was kind of interesting. And then she asked him the point: Haven't you met? Have you ever had somebody famous that you idolize that you met? And he started to talk about Albert Einstein, and she like just joked at that, like this is apples and oranges what you're bringing up.
Yeah. Nick?
Yeah.
Oh, you finished your thought?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I was like, you
I
guys
thought
got
there was
quiet.
more. I'm like, okay,
Nope.
yes. Oh, okay. Uh remind me what is they're trying to figure out what he's doing here, and he's trying do either of you remember? I know I have the script, I can look at it. Do you remember the conversation?
Oh, this one here. No, they don't quite know for certain why Sam is here, because the circumstances around Marilyn's initial passing were never confirmed. They're all ambiguous. So Ziggy doesn't have an idea, and then of course Sam is so upset he's like demanding for an answer, and then Al gives him like 92.4% probability that he's there to save her life in the next couple days.
And it's funny because it's a lower number than that, and he says, "Al, that's not good enough for some." And like he suddenly comes back and says a different number. So it was like I don't know what like somehow Ziggy working on it like was slowly increasing the probability.
Did you like this shot? I thought it was kind of, I wasn't sure about it, but
it was okay. I mean, the actors did as good a job as they could to try and maintain being in sync.
as good as they could. And but it wasn't 100%, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, because I mean, Scott Bakula and this actor are standing almost shoulder to shoulder for this shot, and both actors are looking in the mirror trying to line up their act. Like they know what they're supposed to do, but they're trying to get everything in at the same time. And they have this one difficult shot where they cover their eyes to put splash water on their face. And how are you supposed to sync up with that exactly?
Yeah. So
I feel like you can really tell the angle of the mirror in this.
yeah, I agree with you, Nick. Anyhow, he did his best. So right now there's something that he needs to go outside, and she's in the pool, and I think she's like naked in the pool, and she's like, "Hey, will you join me?" And he's like, "No, it's not a good idea." If Ro were here, he'd probably get annoyed at this.
Yeah, I bet Ro would be very frustrated with this episode.
Right. And he's like, "No, that's not the right thing to do." And even Al like probably has something to say about it. I don't remember his comment, but it's. Then he goes with her, and
Al's comment was, "I hate towels."
Yeah.
Right.
He was so excited to be watching Marilyn Monroe's skinny dip.
which is funny because as the hologram, he could literally go anywhere.
Right. He doesn't need Sam to show him or not show him. Sam, I could just go anywhere.
He just
Exactly.
wanted to get Sam's attention. It's like, look at how great this is. It's like you're a kid.
Yeah.
And then you see Marilyn Monroe. She's walking around with him, and she's like, "Today I'm Norma Jean Baker," or whatever she says to
Norma
him.
Jean Baker, yeah, that's who she is.
And
Yeah, and then
nobody notices Norma Jean.
right, nobody notices her, and then he tries to tell her, "You would have been a great mother, you know that?" And she's like, "Oh, I don't want any children." And he's like, "You're so loved. Everybody loves you. You're so great." And like nothing he says matters. And then she's
She's
here.
like, then why can't I feel it? I actually got nervous in a moment. I was like, if they think she's, I don't like I'm gonna have difficulty this episode. But leaving her up there on her own just didn't seem like a wise choice.
Well, I think the reason that Sam felt confident is because he knows how she does it, and it's not leaping.
Right, but it just it actually seemed like his conversation was having the opposite effect of what he was wanting. Um,
Oh yeah,
and which can be the case. Like when you try to tell somebody that's going through something like that, no, your life's great, your life's this, it can increase the sense of hopelessness.
well, you have what's called like an artificial perspective on things, because if everybody around is telling you can do no wrong and you're perfect and you're great, you don't feel like you're living in the real world anymore because you're not facing any conflict. You're not facing any real problems. So your mind will then come up with problems to address so that you can feel like you're still holding on to reality. And a lot of those problems usually go towards substance abuse,
Mm-hmm.
because then you're not thinking about the fact that your life is perfect anymore. You're just enjoying the good time that you're having. And a part of your body is doing this because it's saying, this is now a problem. This is something that you got to fix. And you're in an environment. It doesn't even matter if it's Hollywood. It's like it's in a lot of places where there's some sort of popularity or celebrity, and it just deteriorates who you are, because everybody will bend over backwards to say that you're wonderful, you're great, not because they believe it, but because they might be able to get something out of that for themselves also. And
Well,
this is like the danger of what's known as the it girl, which Marilyn Monroe was like one of the first.
yeah. And one of the other things I think with it too is that when your people say should bring you happiness and you don't feel it because these are hollow things. These are not things that can bring happiness. And sometimes it's, chemical in the brain or something like that. But, having satisfaction with your work, your family, things that bring you happiness. If you don't have that, but you have money, you have fame, you have all these things that everybody thinks will bring them happiness, and you're in that situation where you're feeling that sadness, you're feeling that hollowness, and then people start telling you, no, you're not sad. Like, how could you be sad? You have this, it's great. Suddenly the idea that happiness could be achieved becomes farther and farther away, because all the things that should give you happiness aren't. So you start to tell yourself, I'm never going to be happy.
Yeah. And you start your perception of how to recognize things that should be making you happy get distorted because everything else just feels so numb.
Yeah.
And speaking of happy, this lady is happy to try to pretend that she's Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, it's just
that was the best segue I've ever done on this show. That's it. I can collect my award now.
I mean, it's a good one because she segued right out of her clothes into nothing but that mink coat.
I don't know this actress, but she did a decent job. I mean, as playing the conniving lady.
Oh, that's Liz Vassy. She's been in a ton of stuff.
But it was kind of funny, like, even though we find out that like she doesn't have her best interest, she is a fangirl in her ways, that she's doing this and she's dreaming of having her life. And almost I kept wondering if they were going to play the plot that maybe she was secretly trying to poison her to get her life.
I mean, here's another thing that I actually think that when it comes to the casting and the whole idea here, something about an actress and another actress trying to take her place and like fooling her and Sam kind of not picking up on it. There was an interesting idea here, much like with a lot of times when we see in this season. I'm like, there was a basis here for a much better story. If it was, let's say, an actress that's not Marilyn Monroe and we don't know who she is, and she's just kind of going through depression and there's a problem with her, and this other lady is trying to maybe even do worse to her, maybe really, take her out completely and take over her life. I think that there was an interesting plot and idea here. Somehow, I don't know why, it doesn't fully, it sort of works, but it doesn't really come together for me. And then here there's something about she's like, I want to cancel this party. She's like, no, you don't. You have to go to the party. Like she's like this social climber, so she wants to go to this party with all these guys, right?
Yep.
These Hollywood people.
I had a little issue, going on this, how she seems to like having this other lady around because she's constantly praising her, doing all this. But then we see by her actions that she seems like she wants to avoid these parties where that kind of platitudes and stuff are going on. So it just feels like it's a counteracting in her character that she enjoys this lady's company, praising her, but then she doesn't want to be places where, because it feels fake to her. So, but it was kind of interesting, this lady's really good at manipulating, and she's making up all these fake conversations that happened.
Yeah, I mean, she's a social climber. She weaponizes Marilyn's empathy against her without her knowing it. I've seen young actors and actresses do the same thing all the time. I've gone to those parties, and you get someone that comes in and they act all modest, and all they're trying to do is just get the center of attention of the right producer or the right director, and they're willing to trade anything they can in order to get that sense of fame, which I always found to be a very peculiar trait that is very easily found in the United States and not so much in any other countries, not in the frequency at least. But it's always a weird aspect here. And the other part too is that there is, especially on the independent film side of things, there's a heavy predatory culture about taking advantage of men and women who just want to be famous because they think it's a life of glamour. But I have to tell you, having known a number of various celebrities, they hang out in their sweatpants and torn shirts just like the rest of you on a day where you just don't want to do anything. Like the glitz and glamour are few and far between. It's the way it is.
Yep. And here, I guess Sam is really trying to inject himself. He's like, you got to do the script. You got to do the screenplay. And she's like, then, Barbara is trying to do her social climbing. And meanwhile, she's making friends with the director of that Misfits movie. And I guess now they don't know where Marilyn Monroe is. And it turns out that she took some barbiturates or I don't know what with the champagne. And
she
then
mixed some drugs and alcohol and is passed out. And, fortunately, Sam was there.
At least this time he knew what to do with his 7 degrees in medicine. And he's able to bring her back. And then
he's trying to give her to eat actual food because all she's been doing is drinking wine.
Right. And then I think that this actually reminds me of that episode with the model. Somehow this is even worse. It's like that Marilyn Monroe is interested. He's like, no, it's not right. I can't do this.
He feels more tempted in this one.
Yeah. But I think that goes to the fantasy of Marilyn Monroe. Like every man around her just fell in love with her. Yeah.
Which Al says in one of the visit when he says, Al, I think, and he's like, it's only natural. It's funny because at that point, like, Al has become serious. Like, he was kind of goofing and enjoying himself in the leap, and then now Al is treating it like this is a national treasure we have to save, and he's being very serious about the leap.
Yeah, he's like, "Welcome to the human race. Welcome to the human race." And yeah, he's serious now about saving her. Then I guess there's something here where Barbara, she wants to continue to do stuff with Marilyn Monroe, and I think Sam is trying to stop this. How do they get rid of him? She fires him. How come? Remind me, why does she fire him?
She fires him because he makes obsessive accusations, and then accuses, of course, the assistant of lying to everyone and manipulating her, and that Marilyn has, like, he's basically saying, like, Marilyn, you got to kind of roll back some of your habits because they're not good for you, and this assistant is not going to be helping you out. She played you to go to this party so that she could talk up some producers, and she's not here to help you. And when
she's also pushing her to drink and go.
Yeah, she's trying to get her on the wagon, off the wagon, something, whatever.
They were going to go on a tour or something with somebody, and she's supposed to be, tomorrow you need to be going and
rehearsing,
working on this movie, and you need to be practicing your lines, not going and partying more. And you almost died yesterday, and so that's what finally clicks into Sam when he sees that, like, this guy or this lady doesn't have any interest in her well-being, and realized from that party that what she was doing.
Yeah. And she played Sam from the get-go because she gave him a heartthrob story, one that Sam assumed she shared with Marilyn, but she did not, so that when she knew she would be caught, but she'd be able to say, well, this guy is crazy because I never told Marilyn those things, and I never made any claims to Marilyn of any part about my life. So now he looks unhinged and crazy and abusive, and therefore Marilyn has every reason to, kick Sam to the curb.
Yep. And then I guess he's packing, he's leaving, and remind me, what is okay, now they have this thing with Clark Gable and the reading for the Misfits movie.
Yeah.
And the director is here, and she arrives, Barbara, after she gave Marilyn Monroe all these kind of, all the alcohol and whatever, and Marilyn Monroe crashed. She arrived here. She's like, I know all the lines. I can be a stand-in for her. I know everything. And he's like, well, you may as well just do it already.
Well, as soon as she takes off the jacket.
Right. First he's like, we don't need... Exactly, right. They're like, we don't need no stand-in. And then she's like, you don't? And she's like, well maybe... Like... The guy on the left, is that the guy from Office Space?
That's Stephen Root. That's one of the greatest comedic character actors to ever live. He plays.
And was he in Office Space? I don't know why I thought
he is in Office Space as Milton, and he does the voice of Bill Dauterive in King of the Hill.
Right.
Okay. Radio. So yeah,
he is a good comedic actor, and I was just so surprised to see him here. This must have been. I want to say he looks younger here, but it looks like he never looked young.
Yeah, he has that look about him where he always kind of looked the same. Only recently has he really started to age.
And I assume, without even knowing, that this guy has spent his life as a Clark Gable impersonator, because sure looks like him.
He does look a lot like him. That's Larry Pennell. He passed away over a decade ago, but he's been in over 100 things. Was he always Clark Gable, or does he just happen to look like Clark Gable here? No. Well, he did. I think he played Clark Gable before. Let me quickly check. See here. Because I thought this was a good, a good lookalike. He played Clark Gable in 1980 in Marilyn: The Untold Story. It's funny. And who played Marilyn in Marilyn: The Untold Story? Let me see. It wasn't probably this one. No, it was Catherine Hicks. Catherine Hicks played Marilyn, not the same actor. I see. Catherine Hicks is from Star Trek: The Voyage Home and Child's Play and Seventh Heaven. Anyhow, so he takes a liking to her, and then Sam wakes her up. Man, let me tell you something.
the amount of time that it takes Sam to wake her up and put her in the shower and drive her there, I think that audition would have been long over.
Well,
Yeah.
we're also assuming that this is happening concurrent. Sometimes, shows will show you stuff out of order. So
You're generally right, but I don't think they were going for like a Tarantino vibe here. I think that I think we're supposed to believe this is happening meanwhile.
Him getting her up and stuff. This could be while she was driving down there, because we're gonna assume that Sam is gonna find out that she didn't go to her audition pretty much right away when that happened, and so I kind of think we're seeing stuff a little out of the order because they're trying to tell us, the audience, what's going on. But
yeah, I guess. I mean, I accept what you're saying, and there's no other way to look at it. So I guess maybe that's the only explanation. But it seems like this is a long time to spend at home, while the other lady seemingly is doing the audition at the same time. And
yeah,
then he's
this is supposed to be like a couple of hours with Sam and her, getting her all sorted out, and I think we're seeing what Barbara is doing out of sync with what is actually happening.
So maybe you and Nick are both right. I personally think that they meant for this to be a meanwhile situation. And as a meanwhile situation, I feel like this audition would have been long over before Marilyn Monroe ever showed up. But for whatever, if I forget about all of that and I just accept whatever both of you just told me, then
well, think of it this way: it's like they're doing this to make you think that Marilyn doesn't have a shot now.
Yes, and then
the payoff is that, well, while this has all been happening, she's already been cleaned up and she's on her way to show up.
Right, and she shows up, and it's good Sam read like 2 lines with her because now she's an expert again. And then Clark Gable, the second he sees her, he forgets about that other girl who's like
who's taller and slightly more bustier. It's like,
I mean, the other girl was fine, but I mean, for him, Marilyn Monroe, that's like
Well, they did a good job of when she first started to show up and she was doing the lines, she was doing okay. But then they were showing her right before Marilyn shows up, she's kind of giving the lines a little more dry. You can tell she's reading the lines back to him and stuff like that. And then when Marilyn Monroe takes over, like, it's emotion, it's acting, it's not a script read anymore, and she kind of takes charge of the scene.
Yeah, no, it was obvious that they needed. I agree with you. They wanted to show you that Marilyn Monroe is the real deal, whereas that one is just her low life assistant.
She's good, but she's not.
Yes, there's a dime a dozen women that are good, decent actresses, but she wasn't this kind of star like Marilyn Monroe. And I actually think that they pulled this off nicely. I think that this is probably one of the better scenes because this actress that impersonates Marilyn Monroe, I think she does a good job. The guy that does the Clark Gable actor, the impersonation, think he's pretty good too. And I actually like this scene. If I just isolate it, it's just that then finally when they're like, oh, like it's great, they want her for the thing, then Sam finds out that she dies anyways, like the real date, the way we all know that she died. He was like, I still wasn't able to help her, Al. All I did was give her one more movie. And then Al's like, well, it was quite a movie, or something like that.
Yeah, and that's Sam's actions led to her retitling it to the Misfits.
The Misfits, yeah, but like,
which that's kind of cringe. I mean,
it is kind of cringe. The whole thing, and earlier on, he's like, "You're a misfit," and she's like, "I'm a misfit." I don't know. It's something about this. It doesn't get me excited, and I think that people were saying it in the chat is that this show works best when it's people actually that you don't know. It's little stories of just everyday people that he came to change their lives throughout, his own lifetime, whatever you want to call it. I think that those are the best stories. Some of the best episodes we've seen are just him going somewhere. There's some family or there's some person in need, and he just steps in. He has to learn whatever's going on. He has to do the rescue or find out something or help resolve something. There's usually some kind of crisis or emergency. He heroically takes care of it and then leaps and he goes to his next mission. And I think that really resonates with people when he does that. This one feels like an episode that they said, hey, we really want Marilyn Monroe in this episode, by hook and by crook.
Yeah.
Just my thoughts. I don't know. I mean, you guys say what you think. Nick, what do you think?
I guess I'm a little skewed differently because for me, while I recognize the name and I know who she is, I'm not really a fan of her as an actress or anything. So to me, it doesn't really take me out of it, or like I didn't really know anything about her life until I started watching this episode, and I was doing research trying to figure out like how she died and stuff. So I wasn't bothered by any of that. That didn't. But all in all, I thought this was a decent episode. It was, I mean, yes, adding a celebrity is something different that the show hadn't done much in the first 4 years, with the exception of like side cameo. It was funny because in the first 4 years, there or especially like the first 2 years, there was a lot of famous people, but they would always be in the background. They wouldn't be the story. They'd be
That
just
was
something
the best
how.
way. If you were going to feature them, that was the best way to do it. That at the end, like some guys like Stephen, and then his mom is Mrs. King, and they're like, "Oh, that's Stephen King," and then he leaps. Something like that. Buddy Holly, Michael Jackson. I don't know what.
So, like, if they were to do that in this, the cringy misfit thing would be something that he would have called her, but his job would have been to save somebody completely different.
He would have actually gone to a restaurant, probably in Hollywood, and there's some lady sitting there, and then like she says something to him, and he says, "Well, you're quite the misfit," or something like that, and then she'd be like, "Wow, the misfit." That's usually what they did on this show. Although he'd know that she's Marilyn Monroe, so I don't know if he would say that, but it doesn't matter. I agree with you, Nick. And that was probably the most you could stretch this idea. Now, I agree with people in the chat here that out of these kind of fumbles that they had in the 5th season, this episode is somewhat passable. It's not the worst episode. Out of all the ones that they tried to involve a famous person, this one's a little more palatable. The only reason is that thankfully he's not Marilyn Monroe. If he if he was Marilyn Monroe, that would be it. Like that would be it. It's bad enough that he was Dr. Ruth Westheimer. He was Dr. Ruth Westheimer.
That would have been how they would have handled it in the reboot. Would have put him in the famous dress. We would have seen Scott Bakula over the air grate.
If it was the new Quantum Leap, sorry, I'm saying that it would make this episode. They definitely have him in a dress. Like the new Quantum Leap, they dreamed of having their guy in a dress every 5 seconds.
They'd make him be the assistant, the female assistant there to save.
He'd be the female assistant, and he'd be trying to get her job or something. Yeah. No, or she'd be the assistant, and he'd be the assistant, the new guy, and the male would be this toxic male that like
toxic bodyguard male that just wants to take advantage of her. Yeah.
Right, he's the worst person ever, and only like as that woman that new guy would have leapt into, they can save her or whatever it is. In any case, Lisa Katrine, yes, I guess I do my imitation of Scott Bakula as a high voice. I don't know why he doesn't have such a high voice. He has a lower one. I have no excuse. I don't know why I do this. But I do like seeing that Lisa Katrine changed her. She already did this a while back, but she changed her avatar, like her profile picture, to her doing the cycling.
Oh, cool.
She's taking the cycling thing very seriously.
That's good.
It is good. I actually, I'm, it's nice that somebody is doing something around here. I don't do any cycling. Anyhow, Murakstra says, I look at episodes like this the same as Marty McFly playing the guitar like Chuck Berry, and Chuck Berry, his cousins, calls Chuck to tell him about it. But that's like a little anecdote, that's just a tiny thing. We're spending an hour with her, with Marilyn Monroe and him accompanying her. But whatever, it's fine. It could have been worse, I guess.
See, I look at it, and yes, does it break the conventional mold of how most of the episodes are? And I wouldn't want it to be the famous person of the week and have the show devolve into that. But as a once in a while thing, this show didn't offend me in any way. It had a decent and good story. I enjoyed it. All in all, this isn't going to break any top tens or anything like that, but it's also not going to break any bottom tens for me. This is just an average good show, in my opinion.
Tex Rogers says Marilyn Monroe was mentioned in the pilot. I believe that. And then Matthew Marcello is quoting that line from Back to the Future with, "Remember that sound you've been looking for? Well, listen to this." Some people were offended, by the way, by that thing with Back to the Future. Not when it came out, but in later years when people get offended over stupid things.
Because
I've heard some weirdos get offended.
They don't get that it's the joke.
Right, that's the whole thing. It's just a stupid joke, but some people are like,
joke is not that Marty McFly made it up. The joke is that Marty McFly learned it from Chuck Berry, and it just got back to Chuck Berry.
Right, that's the funny part. Exactly.
It's is that a bootstrap?
No, it's a paradox joke.
Well, that's what I meant. The bootstrap paradox.
Ooh, it's interesting.
I think that's the name of that paradox.
That's one of them. That's one of them. Yeah.
Yes, Ron and Affair. Nowadays, everybody gets offended over everything. Like Washington Redskins. Yeah, now they're the Commanders or something, right? Tex Rogers. Sorry, there was something else. In any case, yeah, what were we saying? What was the last thing we just said? Remind me, Nick.
Well, we were talking about Back to the Future.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So I was like, I think that's kind of moved to
Back to
the
the
end
Future.
of its point.
They couldn't even make that movie today. There's so many reasons why Back to the Future would never get made today, and that's exactly what's wrong with Hollywood. That's a movie that is one of the best movies, but they couldn't even make it today. They'd have to sanitize it, and by the time it was done, it wouldn't be the same movie. It would just be some crap.
I couldn't imagine what they would have to sanitize from the original Back to the Future trilogy. It doesn't cross any lines in any way.
The thing with his mother, that would be one.
Well, no, that thing. Okay, so the whole mother stuff, that was fought over at the studio for 8 years because nobody in the studio got the joke. Because as soon as they would never read to the end of the script where Lorraine realizes that it's not that what the feelings she has for Marty are not romantic feelings.
Right. I understand that, but still, somehow this was it was a difficult sell then. Today would be like an impossible sell. And the other thing is, even
I don't think so, because I think you see that stuff's been done more
frequently than
yeah.
London Affair says the Bad News Bears today would be about 5 minutes long if they edited it.
That's true.
The problem is now it wouldn't be the same rating. You start
like
putting
rated
humor
X
like
now.
No, it would be well, it might still be PG-13, but the moment that seems like something that somebody I know you've been giving a lot of love to lately, Price, but like James Gunn would do humor like that.
Yeah.
But he would do it over, like they would have like she would seriously make out with him, or they would play it up for laughs of how uncomfortable he is and have her just going after him, and it would be a lot more inappropriate today.
I don't know if James Gunn would do that, because the punchline is the fact that she kisses Marty and it's revolting.
Right, but I'm saying like James Gunn's humor a lot of times, like,
well, it's trauma humor. It's Lloyd Kaufman humor.
I look at how a lot of what today is either they go way too sanitized, or the moment they hit a certain barrier, then it kind of becomes an anything goes. Let's have really edgy stuff, and
Well, they go
which we
for
see
that.
it a lot in streaming.
Well, they go for the edgy stuff because the stuff that was edgy a decade ago is not edgy anymore. So how
Yeah.
do you make it stand out? Well, you got to go one more step further. I mean, 25 years ago, American Pie was one of the edgiest comedies of its time. And now it's tame by today's standards. And if you go onto Netflix or Hulu and you look at some of the comedies that are kind of like this generation's version of that, they're just desperately trying to stand out. And they're going as far as they can without, crossing a certain line. But when you do that, you kind of hurt the next generation of comedies, because now they're like, well, the only way we're going to stand out is if we cross the line that they couldn't cross 20 years ago.
Right.
Well, but what I think is going to happen, because it's funny, they'll be edgy in certain things, but then they will be like, they won't want to say any racial jokes or jokes about mental conditions or stuff like that in the 90s were really common, but the sexual innuendos and stuff that wouldn't be part of what would be considered more of a family comedy now, like you said, they go to an extreme because they need that shock value, they need to stand out. And so it's just kind of an odd thing. Like, sometimes we look at past decades and we think, oh, everything was perfect and more clean. There's usually some stuff are more clean, some stuff was worse, and the same with today. Like, there's certain things that are worse and other things that they hold back on. Each decade kind of has their own brand of humor.
Yeah, and there were a few things that were going on here. Elisa Catrine says they can never make Quantum Leap these days either. I would be very offensive to people. I have a theory, which I have no way to verify anywhere. Script, if you know anything, you can say it. But I have a theory that one of the reasons why, especially in more recent years, they didn't revive the show was because of Al. Meaning, I don't think they especially wanted that character in whatever they do now, anyways.
I don't think that's the case, because every variation of a pitch that I heard where they'd bring back Quantum Leap, Al was married to Beth and didn't really care about other women other than commenting about, like, yeah, they're great, but they don't stand a candle to Beth. Like that was kind of like the common thing that they did with him.
I see. So they solved the problem of like what he used to be, because now he's a different guy. So they changed that.
Yeah,
and that
he's a
way they
guy
can
that's not chasing after the woman that left him while he was stuck in Vietnam. He's a guy who, when he came back, he was welcomed home. He had real love, and the urges that he was the pain he was trying to hide with all the women that he was with, didn't exist anymore. So now he's,
I see.
with his life.
Super Mario Brothers 3, that instead of Super Mario Brothers, now it's putting AI ladies for some reason, and I'm not sure why. Says the actress that played Marilyn Monroe before in a TV movie, Marilyn and Me. Yes, Script said that at the beginning of the stream.
Mm-hmm.
I assume that you've joined us now. There was something else, I think something Nick said, but I don't remember now what I wanted to say. I guess it wasn't that important. but no, it wasn't important what I wanted to say to what Nick was saying. Nick said something and I had something to say about it, but I don't.
Was it something about comedy being different in every generation?
Yes, that's one thing that nice, Nick. That's exactly what it was. Basically, if you look at drama, if you look at The Godfather today, that movie still has like that same dramatic weight that it did all those years ago, and that's why people can still discover it and enjoy it today. Whereas if I show you a comedy from like 40 years ago, many people are probably not going to laugh at it. Humor has changed.
Well, drama has changed too. I know a whole generation of young writers that are 18 to 23. They look at The Godfather as boring.
You know what? This is the reason why Hollywood is in trouble. If they think the Godfather is boring, they should be excommunicated. Is that the word I'm looking for?
Well, it's the culture and education, right? Like everything is so fast-paced, so instantaneous, that the concept of seeing a well-paced transformation of Michael Corleone from a noble soldier who was never part of the family business being pulled in because he's the only one competent enough to save his father and to take care of what needs to be taken care of, and he does so at the expense of his own morality and his wife is a tragic story. And they want to see that in like 30 minutes as opposed to 2.5 hours.
That is what's wrong, because they sit around with TikTok and like tablets stuck to their face and weird glasses and crap.
It's not just TikTok too. It's just how movies and stuff are done and presented today. A lot of our superhero movies, they get in with fast action, compared to like you look at like Iron Man by comparison starts really slow.
Yeah.
But you look at a Marvel movie today and it's like they're right in the thick of it at the beginning of it.
Iron Man is still one of their best. Iron Man is still one of their best.
Right. But like for my daughter, like she really likes Superman. That's kind of, she likes Spider-Man, she likes Superman, and I went and she really wanted to see the James Gunn Superman movie. I wasn't going to go see it, went and saw it with her, but I thought, she's got to see the Richard Donner movie. I'm adamant, like she's got to see that. And I made the mistake of pulling out the longer edition with the extended stuff on Krypton. And she was already throwing a fit at how long the opening credits were.
Yeah, there's 7 minutes.
Well, I mean, she was upset with like, she's like, oh, why are the words so weird? And why are we just watching words going on? Like, because she's used to most of these movies now. And I go, when we go to the theater and we see a movie and there is 20 minutes of trailers in front of the movie, because that didn't used to be a thing. It used to be that the credits were in front of the movie. And I was like, you sit through those trailers, like here and she's like, oh, can't you forward? And I was like, and it was just kind of one of those things where
Christopher Reeve is the goat. No, in my opinion, Christopher Reeve is the goat.
But we never even got to him being Superman. Like she was completely out by the time Krypton exploded. She was, she was done. She's like, I am not going to watch this. And
you know what? I think that you didn't need to bring the extended version. I think that you needed. Right. This was a mistake on your end.
But I've had the same problem showing her some other, like trying to show her some other classic movies. She's
making me very sad, Nick.
But it's specifically the opening credits, the thing starting slowly, and so like a lot of times what I have to do to get her into something is I have to put something on while she's watching something else. So I'll wait till she's like in the living room watching something on a tablet, then I'll put something on, and usually when I get about 20 minutes into something and it gets interesting, she's only like partially listening to the plot, and once she gets confused and she has to stop and ask me a question, usually she'll put her tablet away and she'll start watching. But
this makes me so sad. You ruined my day, Nick. That's all I can tell you.
How dare you give your child a tablet? I understand the allure of it, though.
Oh, I mean, there are controls and limits and all that stuff on it, but just kind of the basis, like all the shows and stuff that she grew up with run a completely different way. I remember I was trying to show her a cartoon from when I was a kid, and she was like upset that it had this long intro, because all her cartoons have almost no intros. And I'm like, I think back to like the 80s and 90s, and there's a debate of which cartoon had the best intro theme song. They were all cheesy, they were all corny, but they all got us hyped and excited. And
some of them were stories of themselves, like the Master of the Universe was a story about this is the world we're coming into. Here's a classic one from the 90s, Nickelodeon's Doug. That's a great intro, and it's like 25 seconds or 35 seconds, something like that. But you have nothing. You have just like the title, and then okay, you're back into the show.
I like, yeah, exactly. I like Michelle Ferry's comment. We used to have lovely movies and shows. It was like eating a well-made meal. Nowadays, the entertainment is like junk food. I hope that makes sense. It does make
Yes,
sense. I understand
very much
exactly
so.
what you're saying. Everything, it's all of that kind of. For me, one of the things that I think did the most damage is TikTok slash shorts slash those kind of things where you watch like for 30 seconds and you move on to something else. That
Mhm.
ADHD mentality has ruined a lot of things.
Well, that
I
came from
know.
the
That makes
cable
it,
news. That came from the cable news networks of the bite talking points and the quick sound bites.
So they're to blame as well.
Yeah, because that's the foundation of it. Like a sound
and
bite for 10 seconds that gets you stimulated, and then you just tune everything out until the next one comes in. That was your first generation of conditioning. And then when social media hit, and then Instagram and TikTok and Twitter just kind of rebuilt on top of that stuff, it changed a whole generation's way of processing information.
And
and I think
they're
like
no better for it. I don't think that they're better now than they were before.
And Nick, what were you about to say, sir?
Sorry, what were you
oh,
going to
I
say?
was gonna say like TikTok and stuff like that definitely has made it worse. I think before that you had like Vine and stuff, but even like the beginning of YouTube used to be that like the average length of a YouTube video used to be 3 minutes when it first started out. And so, which, that was, I was in my early 20s when that was coming on, but it was, you watch a video and then it kind of became about 15 minutes. But like this shorter form content has been going for a while, and to the point where, thankfully, my daughter missed this. She was already too old by the time it kind of became a thing. But there's that Spider-Man cartoon where the episodes are like 3 minutes long,
I don't know what those
and
are.
um, they almost look like bobbleheads or
Oh,
Funko
okay.
Pops. They're like they got big heads to compared to the body is the art style,
This
and
sounds awful again, Nick.
it has all of the spider from Into the Spider-Verse, like it has like Miles and Gwen and all that, but it is like putting a whole episode of like them going up against a bad guy and all that kind of stuff, but they are literally like comedy made for the 3 to 6 year old. And so which kind of looks like what that new Star Trek thing.
Oh gosh, I saw that on set yesterday.
I was looking at that and I'm like, that is totally designed for that age graphic. When I saw it, there was something that they said that like they're going to be shorts. They're not going to be full. They're going to be YouTube. It's a YouTube show.
Yeah, but that type of that mentality for a kids show is terrible because that's known as arrested development entertainment. You're not giving as telling a story that's going to challenge your audience. You're placating them and trying to keep them where they are. And you're going to have stunted growth from people that kind of digest all of that level of content.
One of the things that I find interesting, though, because it seems in Vine, I'm wondering how this is going to affect. On the one hand, in kind of adult entertainment right now, you have the streaming binge model that has turned every TV show into an 8-hour movie. And on the other hand, you have like this entertainment for kids that turns your 45-minute episode into a 5-minute thing.
Yeah.
Or your 20-minute cartoon into a 3-minute thing. And these seem like they're going completely opposite directions, but what has been lost has, with the exception of like cop procedurals and medical dramas, is the um, you know kind of adventure of the week, plot of the week, week by week episode that Quantum Leap is. This you sit down, you enjoy 45 minutes, and you get a complete story. It has time to breathe as a TV episode, but at the same time, it's not it's not super long and drawn out like these streaming shows.
Well, I mean, the irony is that the made for streaming series perform worse than when a hour-long drama series with 7 to 8 seasons gets purchased by a streamer and then put on there, because people will binge something with a great deal of content and rewatch it more times than once versus a single season of 8 to 10 episodes that they have to wait 2 to 3 years before the next season comes out.
Right. And I think
By the
in
way, at
that
the end, he's Bigfoot. I just want to close the window. He's Bigfoot,
yes.
seemingly, and then the episode ends, and then I can stop
here's
this
some
thing.
kid.
And
He's
I
hairy.
just I'll let you continue, but there's a few things I wanted to address. First of all, American Pie, even when it came out, I wasn't a huge fan of it. I thought it was kind of dumb and annoying.
Same.
I know some people thought it was very funny. I didn't really tickle my funny bone. At the same time, the only thing I can say is that the Shannon Elizabeth was in that movie, and I've actually met her before, and she
Yeah.
seemed very nice in person. So
Oh no, she is. She's a delight.
she's good at playing cards and gambling, and it was some kind of event that had to do with some poker for charity or some weird thing like that. And man, I don't even know what I was doing there or why I was talking to her or why she was at this. She does something. She's good at gambling. Don't ask me anymore because I don't remember. There's something about her being good at gambling. And then I ended up kind of talking to her, and she seemed cool. So I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Aside from that, people in the comments were saying, "Hey, there's only 4 episodes left. What are we going to do after that?" And initially, what I believe we're going to do is we're going to do some kind of summary. We're going to do a few weeks where we kind of go and try to create some kind of ranking, if we can, or highlights from just talk about some episodes that we've seen and see what the highlights were, at least from this series. After that, there's another idea that I have that I still also have to talk about it more on my end, behind the scenes. But I do have a really good idea for what we can all do next that I think most people, will enjoy it. And I think we're going to enjoy it as well. So all in good time. And now back to you, Nick, whatever you were saying, go on.
Oh, I was just the one other thing I was going to add to that with kind of leading on to what Script mentioned is on streaming. I think the things that do the best are the 22-minute sitcoms, and some of that is when you're binging those because they're short. You constantly like, oh, I could watch one more, and then before you know it, it's 1 o'clock at night because you've been just watching one more. Whereas at maybe 11:30, you're like, oh, do I want to put on another 45-minute episode? You might go, no, I shouldn't do that, and you quit. But there's something about the short burst, which is the reason why I think a lot of this short form content has gained popularity on platforms like YouTube. Why TikTok has grown is because people can sit there and they're doing it and they don't realize how much time has gone by. But it does affect your brain chemistry. It does affect how you perceive things. And we are in a generation, and despite loving older stuff, really into a lot of the stuff from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. I too find it like sometimes if a show's not capturing you, all of a sudden you're on your phone. This technology, sometimes you have to kind of stop and like, okay, I gotta put this away. I gotta get like either I'm interested in the show or I'm not.
Yeah, I mean that just comes down to the narrative style. Some shows know how to really affect the brain chemistry of a person, get that dopamine level going, and they know that the shorter bursts you do, the longer you can retain them. Because if it only takes you 20 seconds to get that dopamine burst, and they're going to keep wanting to do that, and they're going to see it in all these 20-second bits, then they'll get that down to 15, then eventually get down to 5, and next thing you know, you're literally plugging yourself physically into a machine to get that entertainment fed to you as fast as your brain can process, so that you can maintain that high. And that's stuff that science fiction has even addressed too. Heck, there's a part, Children of Men has a science fiction subplot where some of the children are literally plugged into the internet, and that's where they live. And it feels like we're not too far away from that here.
Yeah. It's a bummer. Anyhow, there were some shout outs, and thank you, Maroxer, for the $5 super. It's a double super chat. So shout outs one is Whalem03, Matthew McGee, and his wife Chrissy, Rondonna Farrow, Michelle Ferry, Lisa Katryan, Marla Sharondoff, Kit Kat, The Dead Man, Tex Rogers, Marks for 7, and then I guess there's shout outs too. I'm trying to highlight it. Okay, shout outs to Matthew Marcillo, Adega Outlaw, Kyle the Pro, Julie Evans. Julie Evans, I want to tell you, I'm really, really happy when I see Julie Evans because she just more recently discovered this stream and she's going back and actually watching a lot of our older streams and then she comments on it. So I have to kind of put myself in the mindset of like, what were we even talking about? And I'm answering her comments on streams that are from a while back. But I just love that somebody was looking for Quantum Leap streams and they found this one and now they're kind of now they're even joining us for these streams. So I like it when people discover that and people are enjoying our streams and we're enjoying having you here. So that's cool. Bishop Judas, Super Mario Brothers 3, nice to see you again. There was a while that Super Mario Brothers 3 kind of this didn't work with his schedule, but now he's back and he has AI ladies. Nick, the script doctor, who we were also happy to see here today, and Price, which is me. And I guess before we go, do you guys have anything you want to plug or anything, Nick?
Nothing specifically at the moment. So I will plug Sean Krummel. His third comic came out, so go Crumb's World, check that out. Definitely a fun comic that goes back to kind of more of that pulp science fiction, what Star Wars used to be kind of feel to it. So
yeah, I'll put the thing here. Sean has been working nights and
yeah,
it's very rare that he can make it.
He's having to work nights, but if his comic takes off, then he won't have to work that job at nights.
We'll never see him again.
Yeah, he'll be spending those nights writing and drawing another comic. But if you do follow Sean on social media, as I do, he put out a pitch for a really great story idea about a dad who's not physically fit, who just has to do anything he can to rescue his kid. And I'm telling him he's got to write that because it's a really empathetic and good premise out there. So if you see him on the socials and you see that post, like it, comment it, encourage him to put pen to paper there, because I think he could deliver a really great story with that premise.
I saw your comment, by the way, and I think also that it made him happy that you commented on it. So
yeah,
that was nice too.
He is very creative. In addition to his artistic ability and stuff, like his writing, because I've read, he kind of shared with me early on when he was having a lot of trouble getting started. Kind of like the main Bible crux of his world, and he's really good. But if you watch his videos, his drawing videos, when he does something kind of about, he's got like 5 or 6 different comic series going on in his background that he's been working on since he was in school. So, he's a creative guy.
Yep. And I'm putting some links, just people. That was Script Doctor's YouTube. This Saturday at 7:30 p.m. I'm going to be there for Scripts on Saturdays at 7 p.m.
That's right.
7 p.m. Eastern, right?
That is correct, sir. Looking forward to that.
I'm looking forward to that as well. And I guess it was nice hanging out with all of you. And thank you for these great gentlemen that have been hanging out with us. And I just want to wish everybody a great evening. And I guess I'll see everybody soon.
All right.
Bye.
I'm such an awesome guy.